The decline in the foreign exchange value of the dollar has also contributed somewhat to the increase in oil prices. The precise size of this effect is difficult to ascertain, as the causal relationships between oil prices and the dollar are complex and run in both directions. However, the price of oil has risen significantly in terms of all major currencies, suggesting that factors other than the dollar, notably shifts in the underlying global demand for and supply of oil, have been the principal drivers of these increases in prices. Another concern that has been raised is that financial speculation has added markedly to upward pressure on oil prices. Certainly, investor interest in oil and other commodities has increased substantially of late. However, if financial speculation were pushing oil prices above the levels consistent with the fundamentals of supply and demand, we would expect inventories of crude oil and petroleum products to increase as supply rose and demand fell. But in fact, available data on oil inventories show notable declines over the past year.
I wonder if you might just comment briefly on the notion. How is it, and I understand your points about demand in the country around the world and supply issues, but it strikes many of us here in the speculation area, and you said that the need to look at transparency issues and the like are warranted. But it seems to me in 1 year's time to go from $60 or $70 a barrel to this morning, I think it's hovering around $150 a barrel. It has to be explained in terms other than just normal economic pressures that it created.
Let me talk about the other then major driver of what's happening to our economy, and that's the whole question of energy prices and oil. You know, I appreciate in your answer to the chairman and in your testimony, because we've had testimony before the Congress by all executives who say that the difference between supply and demand over the last 2 years would largely lead us to a concern that, in fact, speculation may have driven the price of oil an additional $50 a barrel. You have a view that that may not be the most significant thing in prices, but you do take the view that useful steps can be taken to improve the transparency and functioning of future markets. Are you ready to say to the committee today what some of those useful steps are, or are you still depending upon that committee that you're meeting with to look at that? Because we don't have a lot of time here.
Senator, this is really the CFTC's function and responsibility. We're trying to assist them, and we're trying to work quickly as possible to gather information and try to make some useful recommendations.
Well, let me. Many of us believe we need to pursue market speculation now as a critical element of helping to drive down, particularly gas prices. Let me ask you.
You talked about the long-term oil supplies are down. I believe that's what you said.
Well, not rising.
And is that domestically, worldwide, or both?
Well, certainly oil supplies are declining in the United States. Worldwide, they've been relatively flat.